Now we're live. Hey, hi, hello. So going live on two different things with one having like a streaming ad before is challenging, but we can do it because we're a professional show. Hey guys, I'm Stephanie Straw. Here with me are some Meeples for Games on the Rocks. We've got Nicole Hoy.
Good evening to all of you out there in internet land. And on my left, I guess, it's Maggybot.
Oh, Mags, are you muted? You're muted. I don't have you muted. Now you're muted.
We're going to click all the buttons till
There
I find
you
the My mic decided just to randomly mute me. Thanks, Mike.
Let's just do my Maggybot, and we'll just say what you're saying. Go ahead and mouth something and... Hi, I'm Margaret Cottrell, and I'm here on Games on the Rocks.
So good.
Blah, 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 blah. I think you were really saying blah, blah, blah towards the end there.
I was.
Literally saying blah, blah.
I guess I could have done, like, the olive juice thing, and, like, I could have gone all out for it.
Yeah.
Peas and carrots.
So, this is episode 5, officially, of Games on the Rocks. It feels like we've done so many, doesn't it? Is it because we drink and talk about games outside of the show?
Possibly.
they all mesh together.
That's got to be it.
It's a little,
we actually have, I forgot an introduction. We have Board Game Gidget here with us.
Yay,
Board Game
Gidget. She's on fire today.
She's going to go play board games. That's what she's doing when she's meowing. She's like, Stephanie, it's your turn. Move your pawn.
What is this analysis paralysis?
Speaking of, so that was our first drink, and tonight we have a cocktail. Since the three of us are coming back from Gen Con, and then many of you are as well, and many of you are coming back from Gen Can't, our featured cocktail, I'll show it on the screen. You guys on YouTube won't see it, but everybody on Twitch will see it, is the Con Crud cocktail. This is a very complicated blend of ingredients that you will take a few sips of and then share with every single person that you come in contact with for the next week or so. So I've made one here. Look how fancy I am, you guys. This apple slice, though, seriously. And so it says to strain it, like in the fine details of the recipe, but I was like, no, because crud is about like these little bits of apple and stuff and ginger in there, so that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
I have some cheap wine.
Yeah, that's convention appropriate. Also,
convention appropriate. Post-con, I'm looking at these stacks of games all around me, and cheap wine was my alternative. I also did manage to miss out on Con Crud because I was sick before Gen Con.
So you brought the Con Crud, is what you're telling me. That's what I feel like you're saying right now.
I was clear and fine for when I arrived, so yeah, but it does look like a very healthy, delicious drink you have there, my dear. Very nice.
The way that I searched for this was I Googled healthy green cocktails. Just, in case you're wondering how gross I am. Mags, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking cheap wine as well, and Nicole was mentioning so much games and stuff. You can see I built a fort of disappointment behind me. It's all the games I haven't played yet in my collection.
And you haven't played Enigma yet?
No, I played the original that I found, and then Z-Man put it out in the States, and I haven't played my copy yet, so it's just sitting there punched and ready to go.
Gotcha.
I love
okay.
Enigma.
Yeah, Enigma's good. I would totally play with you. We should make a point to play that next time I'm in Seattle.
We really should, because I like puzzly games, and I have Factory Funner, and I have Enigma, and I have all these, like, time and space, and not really in my group's wheelhouse, so I just keep grabbing them and holding them forever.
Yeah. Yeah, OC Brad, I feel like this counts for apple a day.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
There's a slice of apple right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fairly significant slice. So,
That's good. I like that.
Not Fort of Disappointment. It's the Fort of Future Excitement.
Oh, I like that.
That's good. That's good. That's very positive. That's very cool. So I know we've kind of talked about our Gen Con experiences, and we kind of left that on the table for that being the topic tonight. We are happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us, by the way. You're awesome. You're actually what keeps us doing this, because otherwise we would just be drinking and hanging out by ourselves, which is totally fine too.
Yes.
But we wanted to include more than us. So, yeah, we just figured we might talk about Gen Con. And it all started, for me, with all of us.
Yes, we actually did get to have some drinks in real life together. We didn't talk about games.
I'm sure we did. Games were talked about. Max and I talked about Magic a little bit.
Oh, that's right.
So if anyone hadn't seen like the middle of the street picture we took, I was walking back to my hotel with Ace after a thing, and I literally saw Nicole and Steph in the street. Like, it was magic.
It was magic. It was magical.
And then we went and grabbed Paul Dean and almost all got married. It was going to be fun.
Yes, we did. Our bartender, Corey was his name?
Yeah.
Corey, super lovely dude.
Corey, I asked him if he would marry us, and he said that he would go get officiated online, and if we came back the next day, which we did not.
We did not. We failed on that.
Curious Corey, if you're watching, you're not watching. If you did get officiated, if you did get ordained to be a minister, and are allowed to marry people now,
we'll be back.
Because that's cool.
Oh, okay. So, Andrew had a quick question, which I'm going to address really, really fast. He's asking if any of us played Sakura Arms. So it's the next Baka Fire title, and I have it, and I need to make English paste ups so I can teach everyone I've ever met how to play, because it's really neat.
Eric Martin hogged that, so no.
Did he?
Yes, that was one that he was really looking forward to. So
Little Birdie told me that it's already signed for the States. I just can't say who, but it's coming in English next year. And
Max, you know the rules. Exclusives. We need to... drop some
on the Rocks exclusive. Well, I could text a couple people and see if I could say it, but it probably can't say it.
Yeah, sure. So this is, Mags, this was your first time returning to Gen Con since having been to Gen Con before, right? And then Nicole, this was your first time ever at Gen Con.
It was, yes.
And then I've been to like the past 4 or 5 Gen Cons, so very different ranging experiences, and we didn't get to see each other as much as we all wanted to. We had planned on doing a like periscoping something. We should have just done it Wednesday night.
Yeah.
No, I'm really thrilled how Wednesday night went.
It was good.
That was super fun, and it wasn't for the internet. It was just kind of for us.
Yeah. It was really nice, and we got quality time together, which was going to be impossible for like once the con started. So. I think it just ended up being perfect, and even though I had a few drinks, I went to bed really late, it was a really good way to start the con for me, so...
Yeah. I'm glad, because I would have been super bummed had I not been able to see you guys Wednesday and then missed out on time with you the rest of the convention, so... I didn't know, I guess, with the addition, so I'm sure most of the viewers know, but I worked in the BGG booth with the addition of the BGG Hot Games room at the last minute. That added on a bunch of hours, which I happily worked, but it added on to our time and didn't make me have as much free time. And I did some Periscope walkthroughs of the hall and stuff for BGG, so...
That was really cool, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I had a blast. It was super busy. I actually thought I was going to get con cred, but I think I might have evaded it with this vodka. Might be killing it. Maybe.
Nice.
I've so far only gotten con cred from a trade show once, and that's because retailers must be filthy. But the thing is, like, I lose my voice really easily, and I guess people don't lose their voices at cons.
Yes,
so everyone I talked to for the last like 2 days thought I was super, super sick, and I'm like, no, I can't talk over things. Like, I lose my voice if I teach too many games in a day, let alone go to a con.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot better when you're not demoing all day, so I think my voice and everything is a lot better because I didn't do that. Oh, Gidget, you're so cute. So that's better, and also a humidifier helps, for sure.
That's right, you said you were going to have that, yeah.
Drinking emergency, like, hydrate, all of that's good.
I went through a 12-pack
Um,
of LaCroix. Like, that was my
yeah.
hydration.
Ooh, yeah, and the bubbles. The bubbles
The
feel real
bubbles,
good
they
on the
help.
throat.
I
So,
took my daily vitamin, I think, and that kind of did it. I don't know. And I mean, I have vocal cord issues, and I've had a lot of voice loss issues over the past like 5 or 6 years. So I was fully expecting to lose my voice at Gen Con, even though it's been reasonably good for a while. But I think because I spent so much time just wandering in a daze and not actually talking with people,
yeah.
that helped. So, I mean, not so great on the wandering in a daze part, but uh, good on the not losing my voice side of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, so.
I love the hashtag free Gidget is
It made
trending
me
again.
laugh so hard.
She's freed though. She
So
is
free.
not locked out of the room. She literally has the entire house, and this is where
She could be anywhere,
she has
but
the entire house.
she needs to be on the internet. It's a cat's prerogative.
She does, yeah. So Harbinger00, you should have said hello. I was at the BGG booth, so a lot of people were like, "You're at the BGG booth, but you were so busy." Even if I'm on camera and interviewing someone, like someone will walk by and you'll see me like, probably not professional because we're like cutting the videos or whatever. But yeah, someone would walk by and I'd be like, "Hey."
I
Probably
actually
like Seji Kanai is there, and I'm just like, "Hey."
I have a cute story, though, because I went to breakfast one morning, and I usually take most of my meals by myself, just kind of away from the con. I'm like,
Yeah,
time to
recharge.
refresh.
Yeah.
I had someone tweet at me after that they didn't want to say hello. They just, like, they didn't want to come up and bother me. And
That's
so,
kind of respectful and good, though.
well, it was really sweet, but I was like, well, but you could have easily just said hello. And he's like, well, could I do that later? So he later, like, met me for a drink to say hello, like, with
Like
permission.
scheduled a time to say hello to you.
It was really sweet of him.
That is super sweet.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think that it can be intimidating to just walk up to a stranger and be like, I know you from the internet. Hi.
Bye, Sabra. I'll see you later.
So yeah, I mean, I guess, it worked out for the best, and you guys got to meet and chat and stuff. So yeah. I met some people from Twitter, which was really nice, at the Women in Gaming event.
Yeah, so how was that? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Mags and I went to that, and it was run by Greater Than Games, and so they had a panel of, I think it was about 6 ladies or female-identified people who are in the industry, either as a publisher side or doing media, etc., or just super enthusiastic about it and doing creative stuff like writing music about board games. So they kind of went through and introduced all those people, and they spoke about how they got into the hobby and what it means to them. And it was interesting. It was interesting hearing how various people got into it, what they do, how it matters to them that there's a strong community in board gaming. That was a really strong theme across what everybody said, which was really nice. So then at the end, it was kind of like a meet and greet, mingly kind of thing, which was slightly awkward because there were like rows of chairs everywhere that we've all been sitting in. I feel like they probably could have
like had a separate space for that, or kind of
for the mingling. But Max and I just kind of we found Erin from Cardboard Republic. She had snuck in, so we said hi to her, and then a few people just came up and were like, "Oh, I know you from Twitter," and it was just genuinely surprising to me. Like, I just did not expect that, and it was super cool, and I got to meet a load of lovely women who I interact with on Twitter. In real life, it was that was just a really nice little spot in that Thursday night among all of the other lit gaming and stuff that happened. So
that's cool. So all of us were present at the Nerd Nighters event on Thursday.
Holy moly! That thing went nuts.
It was great.
Holy moly!
It's a night for some nerds, y'all. So the Nerd Nighters event is they benefit different charities, and this one benefited Poor House, which is a local organization in Indianapolis that helps people without homes get on their feet, get jobs, helps them do their resumes and stuff like that. And we ended up raising how
$4,000.
much? Yeah,
It's like
almost
slightly
$4,000.
over,
Yeah.
slightly over 2,500.
Oh no,
I
I
thought it
think
was 4.
yeah,
Oh,
it was
it
like
ended up being that high.
3,700 or 3,800. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't realize that. That's
Yeah,
so great.
so due to the auction, there was a charity auction. A lot of great publishers donated some games like Stonemeyer and Plaid Hat and Mayday, and others donated like Seafall, just that some little game or whatever that came out. Yeah. And then Peter Atkinson actually matched the bid on that one. So
That's amazing. He was a super nice dude. I randomly met him when I popped up to say hi to the people doing the live stream, and he was just like waiting to go on the live stream. I was like, "Hi, it's my first Gen Con." He's like, "It won't be your last." I was like, "Okay."
Oh my gosh, is that a threat? Is that a threat? What does that mean? Did he do this? Did he do this motion when he
It'll be
said
your
that?
last.
Did he point to your kneecaps and like have a bat in his hand? That's really weird.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but so it was just like he was really nice, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool. They had him on the show. So Michael Fox had volunteered to do live coverage of the show during, or I guess during the event, not really a show. It's really just people playing games. Like we have a little bit of a moment where we do an auction and a little bit of a moment where we do a giveaway, and then of course the poorhouse comes up and speaks. And but mostly it's just people playing games. So and there were so many people there. I don't know the final count of how many people were there. Mags popped in and was like, "I'm gonna help at the door."
I started ripping tickets for the raffle for an hour, because I had like people to talk to and stuff. But I would just I randomly ended up at the front door, so I met a few guys up there that were helping with the door as well, and it was just a blast. But none of them knew me, so I was just a big goofball at that point.
So many volunteers, like Jameson McLean, who's in the chat, is on the Trail Gamer. He helped out so much. He helped set up, and then came back and helped out. So thank you, Jameson.
Nice.
Such a great event. I had a lot of fun. So apparently the tone of my voice versus Andrew's versus JR's, I was the only one that didn't have enough bass that could make it clearly to the back of the room.
Oh man.
Apparently, so I had to do the auction, and I've never done an auction before. I was like, "How do I do an auction?" And they were like, "I don't know, give away things." So I improv'd some auction, and then someone came up to me afterwards and they were like, "Hey, I do auctioneering, so I just wanted to volunteer my services for next year if you guys needed me." It probably means that I didn't do a fantastic job. He felt like there was room for improvement there.
Oh, that is not true at all. Shush your face.
He was like, "Oh, honey, I do auctioneering," so no, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. I'm sure he was just very sweet and wanted to help out.
That's lovely.
And he'll probably be I think that auctioneers are really cool. The things that they do that I can't do, where they say everything really fast or whatever, is really cool.
If anyone's on Facebook with me, I posted auctioneers with back bass beats yesterday. So it was amazing.
Joe wants me to give an example of what auctioneering sounds like. I can't do that. You guys just have to go to Nerd Nighters, okay? That's what you have to do. Maybe I don't know if the show is archived. Yeah, the show might be archived. Yeah, just go back and watch it. I think I did an okay job. So we got to play a game together at Nerd Night. Nicole, do you want to talk about that, since that was something that was on your schedule?
Yes, so I had mentioned that I wanted to maybe bring my copy of Dread with me to Gen Con. My pal Chris Rollins gave me a copy after I heard about it at BGG before BGG Con. He gave it to me at BGG Con. I was like, this is super rad. I don't have a copy of Jenga. I just don't own a copy of Jenga. I keep my eye out for them at charity shops and stuff, but I haven't been able to play it since I got a copy of that. And so I posted on Twitter I'm gonna bring this, and maybe we'll get to play it if there's a Jenga in the Gen Con library or whatever. And JR was like, wow, let me organize a thing. And so he managed to get somebody to run a big game of Dread. And I mean big as in there were probably 8 of us, but also big as in we used giant Jenga. Mega Jenga.
Yeah.
Which
it was 4 feet tall.
It was fun, but also a little bit too stable for Dread.
It's really straight. It was so there's more weight, and so it makes it the structural integrity of it is pretty sound. It's pretty sound.
Yeah. So it was very.
We're
fun.
also just all really good. We're all really good.
We're too good. Like I've got magic hands. What can I say? So that was my experience of being able to play that, and it was really nice to be able to play an RPG at Gen Con as well. Like, because you know, I kind of aimed at maybe playing Kobold Take My Babies as well, but Adrian, I think, was just kind of laying low, and we didn't end up having enough time to do a game of that. So Dread was my RPG for the con, and it was super fun, and I can't wait to play it again. I love the concept so much. It's just, it's preposterous, and it also has a setting that I really love. Like, I love horror as a genre.
I mean, we probably didn't really get to be too immersed in that. We were singing Salt and Pepper, amongst other songs, but people were like,
you know, thematically it was good. It was like a summer camp horror kind of setting. So.
But Mags, what were you doing?
So so during the Nerd Nighters, I ended up kind of table hopping because so many people were there that I wanted to say hi to. So unfortunately, I didn't play a whole lot, but I got to hang out with some new people to meet. So my new friends, we ended up watching them play like a giant-sized Carcassonne that this guy had made.
It looks so fun.
It was custom made too. It took him like weeks. He built the Meeples, which were like the size of my head, and this big magnet board. And so I watched them play a game of that, and these were the guys I kind of knew from Twitter, and we ended up chatting for like an hour and a half. And toward the end of the night, I joined Tony Miller and their crew to playtest half of one round of a game called Flow, which is from a guy named Tam out in New York. But they closed down because the hotel staff had to leave, so we had to stop. That was basically my nerd night, was walking around and talking to people. It was not super, like, games heavy.
But, I mean, that's kind of one of the things about conventions, too, though. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, how did you get into, like, how do you have all these friends, and how did you get into the industry? And I was like, honestly, just going to conventions and not being afraid to walk up to someone and talk to them, or just interacting on Twitter and stuff like, or right now, like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do at these conventions. We have such a neat industry and community where you can just walk up to Rob Davio and go, I'm a fan, and he's like, cool, let's get a picture, you know, like, do you want me to sign anything? So I haven't experienced anyone, like, seeming like they're put out by that.
I have one.
I feel like they wouldn't do that, but yeah, I'm sure it happens. But it's not been my experience, so
yeah. I know. Like even some of the designers where like a language barrier is an issue, I've seen them be just very grateful to meet people who are fans. A friend of mine from Toronto, he was down at Gen Con working at the Cool Mini booth. Is a huge fan of Czech games and Vlada, and when he heard that Vlada had been there, he's like, I'm really bummed I haven't had a chance to like go to the Czech games room. And so after a teardown on Sunday, they were walking by and like popped their head in, and he was like, oh, I hope you don't mind, I just want to like say hi. And Vlada was like, no, it's no problem at all, like it's really cool to meet you. So yeah, it's lovely. I don't feel like I've met a designer or a publisher that has been like standoffish, which is kind of cool.
No, and actually someone mentioned Eric Lang. Craig Tunace mentions Eric Lang. Eric Lang is so nice.
Ridiculous.
We were periscoping for BGG, walking around the hall, and Eric Lang saw me and Lincoln, and he goes, oh, guys, come over here. I have to show you something. And Lincoln was like, ooh, we're going to get an exclusive. And he comes over and he shows us, by the Cool Mini or Not booth, there is this huge display of all these games that are coming out, and one of them is Rising Sun, which has these amazing miniatures. And Eric Lang was like, look at these miniatures. That's what he was so excited about, to show us. Like, he wasn't even, let me tell you about this game. He was just like, come on. And I was like, Eric, I've filmed this extensively because it's amazing. Of course I saw it.
Oh my goodness.
But, yeah, and I asked him for an exclusive, and he told me that This is Eric Lang's exclusive secret, that he bathes in chocolate every morning.
Not surprised. 0% surprised.
Like milked or dark?
I didn't ask qualifying questions because I just wanted to let that just marinate in there, you know.
It's marinate in it like he marinates in the chocolate.
No, him and his wife are absolutely lovely and lovely people.
Sweet.
So yeah, you're totally right. Like, just you bump into him and say, "Hey, Eric, like, you're cool," and he'll be like, "Cool, let's
get a picture and I'll throw my rabbit ears up behind you." I'm actually going to see those guys. There is an event coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend in Toronto.
Is it an illegal event? Because I hear sirens, Nicole.
No, that's mine. I'm sorry.
Apologize for the crime in Seattle.
I'm so sorry.
Apologize.
It's literally.
There's no way that's actually crime. It's probably like an old person
cat in a
or
no.
It's Seattle. There's not a lot of crime here.
Yeah, it's pretty chill. It's pretty chill.
There's a lot of other substances that makes this place very chill.
Exactly. But there's going to be an event. I can't even think of the date. I guess it's the 19th through the 21st, called Proto-TO, which is Toronto's first like game designer playtesting convention, which is super exciting. I'm very excited that somebody's running
awesome.
that. Yeah.
I really hope you run into those rival books guys. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. I will keep my eye out for them then.
They're Toronto-based.
Yeah. I remember you mentioning their pretty cool card game that you tried. So
yes, so this is Stitch Media made a prototype called Rival Books, and apparently, I don't know if anyone else has played it yet, but it's kind of Hearthstone-y, but in a good way. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and they're going to be at that I don't know.
Proto-TO.
Proto-TO.
So I will be going. I'll be going definitely for the opening evening. There's a panel, and then some open gaming and stuff, and then the rest of the weekend is just slated for designers, local designers, to come in and have people play test their games. Like just have it scheduled that way. And I think it's fantastic that we're having something like that. Toronto and I feel like Southern Ontario is like an embarrassment of riches as far as game design goes. So it's really nice to have that kind of event.
The U.S. is really embarrassed to have Toronto and its game riches in it.
I know there's some game designers elsewhere. Like we have a game design guild in Canada. So I think it's called the GDC, Game Designers of Canada. So there's people out in Halifax, there's people in Vancouver, all over the place. So, but there seems to be quite a density in Toronto and Southern Ontario. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of awesome people. Daryl Andrews, Christopher Chung, Eric Lang.
I got to meet Christopher Chung.
I had not met Christopher Chung.
Yeah, he was hanging out at Portal Games. So.
Yeah.
And he's on Twitch. Taro Tomasama,
I think,
is his username, and he hangs out in the Playing Board Games Twitch channel a lot.
That's right, yeah. So I guess I'll meet him finally next weekend. But it's nice to have something like that to look forward to coming out of Gen Con, which was so like giant and overwhelming, and going into that where it's just like very community based and low key, which is what I need right now.
Oh my gosh, Gidget.
Gidget is. She just is like had a taste of fame now, and she's just worse and worse. Like she's just so bad. She's like crawling all over me, really.
She is in it for the fame. That's all. She doesn't care about her fame.
She just wants that. She doesn't. She just wants that fame and fortune.
Did anybody get to the first exposure room at Gen Con?
I did not.
Yeah, I'm bummed I missed out on that.
So I went my first year of Gen Con, and unfortunately or fortunately, if you've been around at any other cons, you'll know all the games that are present. and it usually costs event tickets, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I'm fairly certain. At least it did the first year I was there. So this year I just had other stuff to do. I feel bad now.
I have not gotten to play Adrenaline.
I have
Tony's
played
asking. You have played, and do you love?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I played it back in April. There's been a few little changes since then, not too many. They've kind of refined the art and streamlined a few rules. They had some little 3D printed minis. But Adrenaline, for those of you who don't know, it's a first-person shooter area control-ish game where you're using action points to move around a map to attempt to attack other players, to control area on their like hit point meter, and it's really quite strategic. I'm not really much of a fighty game kind of person, but one play of this back in April, I was like, this is fascinating. We did a round or two as a demo of the newest one. Paul gave us that demo. I was there with my roomies, Chris and Hillary from Dog and Temple, and they'd never really even heard of the game, so they were fascinated by it. So it was really good.
And isn't that the thing? Like, I am so proud because Codenames has put Czech Games Edition like on the map. And then I feel like a game like Adrenaline either wouldn't have happened or, you know, wouldn't have been as noticed as it is. And that's just really cool to think about that, you know, what Codenames has turned into, for one thing. Like, oh my gosh, how many copies have they probably printed and sold? I'm giving Gidget this, by the way, this.
Oh, she didn't care last time. I remember.
She didn't. But I'm just
wise
trying.
to your drugging, that's for sure.
Do you think she has a tolerance? I'm literally rubbing it on. Like, literally rubbed it on her face. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I just actually rubbed it on her face.
Oh, Baba. So I feel like it's a new kind of game for Czech Games to have.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've been developing it quite a bit. Like I feel like they had it for demo at BGG Con last year, and then they demoed it at the Gathering in April when I played it, and I hadn't heard of it before then. So it was just like, what is this thing? It's amazing! Oh my gosh! And then they did more demos and refining at the UK Games Expo, and now they're going to have it ready for, I feel like they're almost ready for their final product to print for Essen, which is when it comes out. So.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say the Essen preview list is already up, so you can see what games are going to be released at Essen.
Whoa, that's intense. Okay.
On Board Game Geek. Eric released that like as soon as he got back from Gen Con. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. When does he sleep?
Right? Never. Max, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna say we had 2 questions in the chat. I thought
I was going to ask those. Yeah.
I was gonna totally transition to those all nice and sweet, and then I messed it all up. But
not. Let's do this.
Still a nice and sweet transition.
What were the 3 of your favorite games that you brought home, and also what was your favorite demo that you received at the con? Stephanie.
I'm not a big, like, bring home a ton of games from conventions kind of person, so I got Ice Cool. And,
is that fun?
Yeah. And then the publishers of No Fish gave me a copy after I did the interview on BGG. They were like, you can have this. And I said, thank you. That's super sweet of you. No Fish is like reverse Go Fish with a Hanabi mechanic, so yes. We're calling it the Hanabi mechanic, I feel like now, right? I might be dropping frames just in case you guys are experiencing lag. Just let me know if it drops on Twitch or anything. And I think that's really the big one that I brought home. I also got some of those, like those little trays that Game Salute, or no, DV Giacchi has, those little trays.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what they're called.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was like. It's not game trays.
Like component trays?
They've just started selling those to retail, too. I was going to look into it this week, and I got distracted because, oh, my God, mountain of work.
Well, I have 3 of them. So
let me know if they're worth taking into the store, because
they're actually pretty cool. So they have they have a lid and a compartment. I wish that I had brought them in here with me. And then it snaps on very satisfyingly, so they won't, if you have them inside the box, the lid won't come off and they won't like spill all over the place.
So
and
are these like
they also
molded
nest,
plastic?
kind of. Yes. Just like the plastic that you would find whenever you're getting out a figure, you know. Like that kind of plastic.
Is it game trays with a Z on the end?
Well, that's what I wasn't. No, that's what I was saying. I think it's not them, but I think they are called game trays, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
But
Game trays with the Z at the end. That's from St. Louis. They're a different company.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they kind of nest together too, so you can stack them and stuff like that. But yeah, they seem pretty cool. Yeah, I really didn't get a whole lot. A lot of the games were donated to the BGG High Games room, and then were taken to the library, and we have multiple copies. So Scott Alden did say if I wanted to borrow one, I could borrow one. So I sort of brought lots of games home. They're just 5 hours away, and they're not mine.
Just 5 hours.
Yeah. What about you, ladies? And then I'll get into demo games. But what about you, ladies? Games you brought home?
Thanks.
Oh, I don't buy a lot at cons because a lot of stuff comes out to the store really soon. So I just, if I know I already have it on pre-order at the store, I probably didn't buy it. I made one exception. Gray Fox Games did a remake of the game. I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. I apologize right now. Alia Acta Est was remade this year as Order of the Gilded Compass.
No, I think that's it. I think that's very close. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't ever take Latin, so I have zero knowledge of how to pronounce that.
Oh, you did pretty good, girl. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they rejiggered it. They gave it some new art, which when I played it with folks, they didn't quite like how dark the art was, but I think it's gorgeous. It's a dice placement game. It's pretty mean. It feels like a bidding game because you have to like allocate your dice and make it like the best possible sequence that would go on a given space. So it needs to be like 1, 2, 3s or the highest same die or whatever, and you're trying to like earn cards and do things and get excavators and all kinds of things. And it's just a really pretty good lightweight Euro. I really like it, and I'm happy I have it, but it'll be out in stores really, really soon.
I'm shocked that they didn't talk about that a little bit more or hype that up, because it was just kind of, what is this game? And then someone told me that it was that, and I said, oh, okay.
Right, and you didn't hear anything about it. And for retailers, we got one sell sheet from 2 different distributors, and that was about it. But as soon as I heard it was a remake of that game, I had played that game years and years ago. So I was super, super excited to get that. I also bought Vast the Crystal Caverns, which is a big ol' hot mess in a good way.
I was wondering. I saw you played that, and I heard a lot of buzz about it from the con. I was like so curious, but it does seem like a bit of an mess.
I had to buy it because I knew it would sell out and it wasn't going to be back for a minute. So it was a Kickstarter. It did pretty well on Kickstarter. They have an unfortunate name of Later Games, but it's not Chris Later. It's a guy named Jared Later. Oh. So it's really confusing already. But it's an asymmetrical game where everyone has kind of a different thing they're doing. And you're in a dungeon, and if you're the dragon, you're trying to kill the knight. If you're the goblins, you're trying to kill, the other thing. And if you're the cave, you're trying to collapse on everyone. And everyone's got kind of a different job.
Yeah. It's so funny because nobody talked about this game when it was Trove, and I was like all about it and all over it. And then it changed names, and now everyone's like,
Trove? I had a lot about Trove. I had no idea they were the same game.
It's right. Everyone's like, what's this game? And maybe it's because they changed names. But anyway, sorry.
But
Mags, how did you feel about it? You played 2-player?
I've played it 2-player and 5-player, and both times I had the exact same feeling. The strategy level on this game is super light. Like, it's a really light game, and you have no idea if other people are doing things properly, because you have no idea how their version of the game works. So it's a game you could invest, like, 12 plays of and maybe have a meta within your own group and have a really good time. But for a Euro strategy heavier player, I think it's just a big old hot mess.
Oh, man.
There is a lot going on, for sure.
But, like... Your choices are not super deep.
The benefit, I played the dragon, and I've played the cave a little bit. But I feel like there are some choices. I think that the benefit of the game is that just by learning the game, it's a lot to learn, but you're investing in learning, hopefully, 5 different, like, totally different games that you're playing. So, I mean, that's the benefit is, I mean, it's not just, like, different scenarios or whatever. It's really not just variable player powers. It's like it feels like a totally different game that you're playing.
It totally
play
is.
with the different characters, which some people will hate, and some people will love. So,
but it's curious. Like well, one of them is like action point selection. One of them is card driven. One of them is tile draw. One of them is kind of this weird cube resource allocation. So every
one of them is people on a map, kind of, but not area control, right. But like kinda you want to spread your goblins out.
Exactly. Yeah. And the goblins have 3 different types of goblins, but they all kind of work the same, but they don't. And the last one I'll mention, because they mentioned it before, was Sakura Arms, which is a 2-player battle game from Bakelfire, who did Tragedy Looper and Code of Nine. And it has, and in a really, really good way, it has a little bit of the Power Bowls from Terra Mystica feel, because you have these resources, and based on what you choose in your battles and what cards you've chosen, you're going to move your resources around a little bit, and it's kind of shifting from one thing to another. And it was just a really, really fascinating thing. I cannot wait until I have my English paste-ups all put together so I can teach people this game. That was the other. Like,
Mags is one of the best teachers, by the way. If you've never had a chance to have Maggie demo a game for you, she is amazing.
One of the best.
One of my favorite teachers. Mags, and then Chris Kopak is also one of my favorite game teachers.
And yes, he taught a game from Chris Kopak.
Despite an injury, a leg injury, he ended up making it to Gen Con.
Nice.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull a Mags right now, because guess what I did? So I have this drink, and it's running low. I just brought this so I could just refresh.
I'm like dangerously low here, and I'm just gonna have to vanish at some point to top up my wine.
So that's happening. In fact, now is a great time. I'll just post up. So we're going to cover our faces on Twitch, but everyone on YouTube will still see. Our drink for this evening is the Concrud Cocktail, a complicated blend of ingredients that you take a few sips of and then share with every single person you come in contact with for the next week or so. And I did actually infuse my vodka with ginger for a couple of hours, and I did make green apple lime juice, and I did make honey simple syrup.
I poured this out of a bottle.
It's commitment. I poured this out of several.
Yeah, that's a lot of bottles.
It's all full of game magic. How'd that happen? Broke the stride. I know, I broke the stride with the drink.
It's so good. It's so good, it's not even funny.
One game that we demoed and 3 that we brought home, is that what it is?
3 that you brought home, and then we haven't talked demos, because I don't even know if Stephanie has a favorite demo. I don't know if it's possible.
Let me think about my demo, but...
Yeah, I have do you have games that you brought home?
I did bring home a few, and a couple were a bit of a surprise to me. I pre-ordered Codename Pictures, so that was like not a surprise, obviously. And I picked up Oceanos, which I was happy about. But I also grabbed a game from Red Raven called Dingo's Dreams, and I had not heard about this before. I played a game with Adrian and Dan and one of their roommates, and it is not complicated. Like, you can teach it in maybe 2 minutes, but it's just like, it's so pleasant. It's really lovely. It's like a little bit like those puzzles that have like one gap and you're trying to slide them around to make a pattern, but also you're trying to make a pattern in a way that you match the thing that everybody else is trying to match. So it's a little bit like, I call it shifty bingo, and it's got beautiful art, and I just was so delighted by the one play that we had that I went by and grabbed a copy of it.
Shifty bingo.
Shifty bingo. You know, you
Shushi
shuffle
bingo.
stuff around, and then you yell bingo.
Call it out.
So yeah.
Then you like move it to the side.
Yeah, you're moving rows at a time. It's pretty neat, and
Cool.
it was a small one for me to bring home because I didn't really want to bring loads home. So I was pleased. I was pleased to grab that one. Yeah.
Oh, Anthony Amato just joined us. Hey, Anthony. Can you talk about like a laser game that you have coming out? Maybe in the chat. Just talk about that, or can I talk about it if you can tell me if I'm allowed to? I saw pictures from your video. It looks totally rad. Love Anthony and Nicole, designers of Resistor.
Ooh.
So I just don't know if we could talk about this other game coming out. Oh, go for it. Cool. So Laser Riders got to play at Unpub. This is a cool like Tron type game.
What?
Yeah, and you're like kind of shooting out on these planets. You're trying to like control the planet by. It could have changed because this was in development whenever I saw it. But yeah, it looks amazing, and it's like, I mean, huge table space, but it's totally fun, and it's definitely going to be one of those games that's taken out at a lot of conventions because it takes up a lot of table space, and it just has great table presence, and it's weirdly just a lot of fun and satisfying, and Gidget is really hyped about it. That's why she's meowing so much. So, yeah, Anthony, totally radical laser riders blazing through 19.8x space at light speeds.
Amazing.
Sure.
I mean, cats like laser pointers, so it stands to reason.
Actually, Gidget doesn't care. Lasers.
Really?
No, she. In fact, I took a picture of her, and she's laying down in her like I don't always, but when I do pose is what I call it. And I'm pointing the laser down, and you can see the laser right next to her, and she's just looking at me like, human. You're in, like,
what?
Seriously.
What?
She's like, give me the camera.
Amazing.
You fool. Yeah. Star Wars Destiny is what Andrew Brown is excited about.
Oh.
Okay, so I want to ask about this one. So
that's the dice one, right?
Right, so it's Dice Masters, but Star Wars, sure.
Yeah.
And the boosters are $4 instead of $1, and it's CCG style where there's like a rare or a mythic, legendary, whatever you want to call them. And the dice always goes with the rare. I'm not sure what to do about this because like pre-orders are coming up at the store, and I'm like trying to tell my retail managers, I'm like, you know, Dice Masters is kind of on a down slope, even though it's a cool system and everything. It's just like, what do we do with this? It's not compatible with Dice Masters. It's its own thing. It's Fantasy Flight, but it's Star Wars kind of tapped out at this point. I'm so down on Destiny. I feel bad.
Is Star Wars tapped out at this point?
I feel like it is. Yeah. Oh, sure. For games.
Imperial Assault got a lot.
I mean, there's already amazing games for Star Wars already.
Yeah. I get your point. Like,
and the LTG is
done. But like Star Wars Destiny, like dice game, like I'm like, sure. Like, do we really need it?
Speaking of intellectual property, Final Fantasy.
Oh, the card game is coming out, right?
Okay, you guys. I am not a like collectible person. Meaning, one, there's only one of me, and you cannot collect me. But two,
that's what you think.
Well, dang. Two, I just do not do collectible dice, cards, mats, boards, whatever. This might be the one that gets me into it, though.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So explain.
And it's not just IP.
Like,
yeah.
Tell me more.
So I love the Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy a lot. Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite. FYI, no haters in the chat about that. It was like my first that I played all the way through. Gidget is insane right now. So I love Final Fantasy, and I think that I guess I'm just like, it's not art that's like, I don't know, it just seems different. Like, it's, you know, the Japanese style, but it's not like, You guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's not like tits and ass.
It's not Force of Will. Like, that's just
Yeah, and Force of Will, I've played it. It's like a good game, like with the mechanisms and everything, but I just can't even with the fact that some of these cards are worth more than the other cards because there's like more skin showing, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just annoys me. So I'm excited about something being, in my opinion, not that everything else is not tastefully done, but for me and like my tastes, I think that this will fall in line with that a little bit more. I don't know how the gameplay is going to be. I have no clue, but I want to try it. So I'm excited about trying it.
Because it's a pretty early announcement for that.
I mean,
right?
if gameplay sucks, then whatever. But there's also the Chocobo Hunt, right? Is the other thing too, which I don't know anything about that either, but sounds adorable.
I had to Google it, but then I was like in a Google hole for like an hour trying to read about the game today. I put in my little pre-order for the store, and it looks adorable.
Yeah.
I've never actually played a Final Fantasy, not a single moment. So.
Chocobo's Hunt is the board game, and then the card game. It's literally called Final Fantasy the card game, as far as I know. So.
I just Bebo posted about it earlier, so I trust the Bebo.
Well, it's on GTS distributions on their website. You can start pre-ordering it next week.
Sure.
Okay.
So. Yeah. So if it's something you're interested in, then talk to your FLGS and see if they'll pre-order it for you. If it's something you definitely want to make sure you get.
Because everyone here orders through a store, like a real life store, right? Everyone.
No, don't let Maggie bot FLGS shame you. You guys order your games from wherever you feel comfortable for, but just know that when you don't, people like Marguerite will not have a job.
Oh, damn.
If you have a local store that is awesome, support them.
Yes, totally that.
Then I don't really care. Support whomever you like.
Yeah,
but
you really should.
It's those that show up at the awesome stores and then go order on Amazon that make me a little bit sad.
OC Brad says, I download all of my board games from the internet.
That's okay, Brad. I understand.
Pirate them. That's fine. That makes sense.
Pirating doesn't hurt the original piece.
Yeah.
Copies don't matter.
Well, musicians beg to differ, but okay. Sure.
Andrew's like, just open up a card kingdom in the middle of Indiana. Okay.
Oh, here's you guys, this is a rare thing. This is Cashmere.
Oh.
Cashmere does not meow. Cashmere is a good cat. Cashmere does not meow constantly, Gidget.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Cashmere also doesn't have her own Twitter.
You guys check Instagram right now because there's hedgehog pictures.
I flipped out. I'm not on Instagram.
Stephanie, get on Instagram.
I so flipped out. I had to flip out.
Thanks, Joe. Cashmere is so pretty. So my experience, I'm going to speak to, Mags, I want you to talk about actually going to Gen Con after having not been at Gen Con for a little bit. And then I want to talk about like me having gone every single year and like what I saw and what I felt. Like what was it different? Was it the same whenever you came back? Was it just like same old Gen Con, same old GC? What's up?
Not at all. But so the first time I did Gen Con was about 2 years ago, and I dare any of you to say this. Most of y'all didn't know me 2 years ago. I have done a lot in a very small amount of time to kind of get out there, get known, have people in the community. So when I first attended Gen Con, the only other con I had been to was BGG Con. That was like literally my experience of conventions for board games. And so you go to Gen Con assuming some things that you'll be able to find games to play and people to play them with and food and fun. And my first Gen Con was actually just the side of miserable and not worth the money. So this year I walked into this situation much more like confident that I would have fun, and I would, if I was not being interacted with in the way that I wanted, I would have like a backup, I would have other things I could do. So The event system is really weird. Events at Gen Con, like, you can either schedule yourself into a hole with just getting tickets for everything and then feeling almost like you have to show up to those things, or if you don't get enough tickets and you don't feel like you have enough to do. So this Gen Con, I specifically scheduled myself a demo day, like I demoed for Check Games Edition on Saturday. I also made it where on my Twitter I would tweet if I was in a place for a particular amount of time. I would tell people where I was in case they wanted to come say hi. And I also really, really, really appreciated that this year I could just kind of rely on knowing some contacts from Twitter and stuff to help me have a place to be and a place to feel belonging. And it is my goal in the future, if I go to Gen Con again, which I think I will, to give that to other people and like help them have a place to be and a place to be able to feel included and accepted. It just my first Gen Con was lonely and like not a horrible way. I get lonely at cons anyway, especially around a lot of people for some reason.
Giving you a hug.
But there's this weird part of me that just gets really, really lonely in crowds, and so it gets even worse if I don't know anyone. So this year was much, much better, and I had friends, and I had like backups and backups on backups, and so I always kind of had someone who would scoop me up and take me somewhere, which is important. And so Gen Con this time was awesome, and all I can hope is that I can provide that for others in the future. I didn't really do a lot for others this time around. I kind of focused on me, so it was selfish Gen Con 2016, but
that's okay.
Right. But now is the time to start looking outward. And the only thing I really, really wanted to do that I did was that Thursday DFW Nerd Nighters event. It was to benefit Poorhouse. And for any of you who have spent 10 minutes inside of Indianapolis, you will know that the homeless population there is really, really a huge issue there. Yeah. There are a lot of people misplaced, and it's not all mental issues or drug issues like you would kind of assume because of other cities, like just people down on their luck that run out of their jobs. And so the Poorhouse being there was like really, really important for me. So like the Nerd Night being successful was like the #1 priority for me of the whole weekend. So
yeah,
the fact that went off like without a hitch was great.
It was, you know, we keep saying that every year is the best year, which is good, right? They pick a different charity every year, so, or I mean, they might pick the Poorhouse again next year. I don't know, you know. I mean, it totally depends, but yes,
so
I mean,
Gen Con picked the Poorhouse for Cardhalla as well, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I don't know if that's why they ended up picking it, or if they coordinated, or anything like that. And they were already going to be there, so
yeah.
I think that DFW Nerd Night picked Poorhouse because Gen Con was picking Poorhouse, though. But I don't want to say that. Maybe Ace can.
I think it's a fantastic charity to support. Like that.
Ace is in the chat as DFW Nerd Night, so yeah, he says we raise money for whatever Gen Con picks. So yeah,
it was a great pick.
Normally, DFW Nerd Night, they do a monthly thing in Dallas, and they pick a different local charity for Dallas every month for their game night. So they'll pick the one for that.
Well, and I'm very, very lucky that my company, Card Kingdom and Mock Sporting House, we work with a lot of charities here in Seattle, but I'm not as familiar with Indianapolis charities, so it was nice that there was one already kind of selected by Gen Con and vetted. And the one big thing that maybe not a lot of people know is that working with a charity is also kind of a stressor on that charity, so you have to have someone within their system that's able to accept your help. I know that sounds really backwards and weird, but there's a lot of coordinating on their part. So to have Poorhouse be so organized and present and informative was amazing. And so I'm not actually that used to that, so it was really nice to speak with them for a minute. Like, they were on it.
That like makes me like this, you guys. Our community. I know it's like let's all have cocktails and cry about how wonderful our community is. But no, seriously, I love this community. This community, I'm not going to say saved me because I didn't need saving, but this community has definitely helped me be a better person, and I want to give back to the community as much as I can, as much as possible, because I don't feel like I would be as happy or have as much value in my life without the board game community, and that's my local community, the online community on Twitter, on Board Game Geek, and at conventions, and then, you know, Meeples included and everything else. So I think that we all try to give back, like me, Marguerite, Nicole, obviously everyone here that's a viewer. So that's just really cool. My experience coming back to Gen Con and like kind of seeing it grow over the past few years is that I felt like, and this could just be because my perspective was different, but the biggest hop was from last year to this year, and that's in like booth presentation. It was insane, right? Booth presentation was crazy. It was like out of this world. Broken Token had like this whole like a building that they like built and created and like hammered nails and stuff in the middle of the convention hall. Also, Upper Deck had this amazing thing that you could like go inside. So
They had like a semi truck too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, what even? So, and then the booth directly behind the BGG booth was this, I never found out what this is, so if you went to Gen Con, please let me know. They had these boxes of, like, Doctor Who boxes and Star Wars boxes and, like, question mark Mario, like,
the Mario boxes. I saw people carrying them. I had no idea what they were.
Because they're, like, secrets. They're, like,
it's like Loot Crate, but, like, you buy it right
there. Yeah, I know, but it was huge. It was, like, it was like this giant tall thing, like super high. I don't know how. I literally don't know how they did that because they had.
I see those like, at almost every con I go to that has like a big retailer presence. Like they have a presence at Fan Expo in Toronto, which is like the big generic convention here every year. So I think they must.
Yeah, just people are just really outdoing themselves at these conventions. They're obviously investing, and not just for Gen Con, I'm assuming these setups are for other conventions too, but really doing this like, hey, come over here and like hangout type feel, you know? Not like a flashy just we're trying to sell stuff, but like you know, just a hangout thing. Like Broken Token had the dice tower that was like 8 feet tall. So, I mean, that's, you know, that's like they don't get anything out of that other than look at this thing that we did, you know. I mean, Arcane Wonders had couches, these purple couches to demo Speechless on, I did get a copy of Speechless. Tony gave me a copy of Speechless, and I was going to play that with you ladies one night.
So we can do that, because I've not played it yet.
Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's do that next Games on the Rocks. I'm going to send you the things in Speechless, okay, the cards, and we'll play Speechless together.
Amazing.
Bebo has a copy of it too. So, but yeah. But that was cool. It's like a charade like type game.
And can I tell some people some background here as well? One huge thing with Gen Con this year, about maybe 4 days before I flew out for Gen Con, a company actually canceled their reservation for one of the big ballrooms. And so Gen Con with BGG Con, like, they joined forces and made the Hot Games room.
But who made that happen?
Derek Gooder.
No, who really made that happen?
Derek Gooder with his pink mohawk.
But
No. All I did was a Facebook message. No. I just, for the longest time, what I said about my 2014 Gen Con was that there was very little space to demo games, and it felt really weird to try and demo in the hall. So the fact that Gen Con would even think to reach out to a competing convention to build space in their space was amazing to me.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really hope that that becomes a thing. I want BGG Con to have a presence at Gen Con forever.
Yeah, it would be good.
That was. I mean, I love Derek. I don't know Derek very well, but I love Derek. I could say that.
Derek
right?
is the sweetest person ever.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, we're like internet friends. But Mags made that happen essentially. I mean. Yeah. Yes, Gen Con had the space, and this place canceled, and Gen Con was open to the idea of it, which is amazing. But Mags made the initial connection. We had just finished our Board Game Geek meeting, so all of us were together in a hangout, and Scott messages me and was like, "Hey, so Gen Con just was like, what do you want to do with this, like 3,500 square foot space or whatever?" Wow. And I was like, games.
Like, something?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm really upset that I didn't make it to that.
I was nervous it was not going to be successful, and we had people, like, knocking down the doors to get in.
I couldn't get in. Scott actually caught me for the weekend so I could go there anytime and, like, hang out with people, and every time I went by there, the line was just too big. It was just not even a thing I could get into.
So let me ask you this. So it's at the Hyatt Regency, which a lot of events are. There's actually a ton. It was on the 3rd level, but there's a ton of events on the 2nd level and stuff too, in the ballrooms. Do you think that's too far? Is that too far for you to walk from?
No, honestly, if it was bigger and it was a little easier to get to, I think the biggest barrier to entry, which wasn't actually a barrier to entry when it comes down to it, was the ticket price. People were kind of upset that it was $2 for 2 hours or whatever.
So the deal on that is that
that's just a Gen Con thing, though, right?
No, well, yeah. So basically, Gen Con had already worked out a thing with this laser tag place, and so Gen Con has to pay for the room from the hotel. I mean, Gen Con doesn't just get things for free. Right. I mean, they're great, but they don't get to like bully the Hyatt Regency or the Convention Center or anybody. They still have to pay for things. So the deal that they had made was actually, I think the laser tag thing was like $18 per hour. So Gen Con was like, you have to charge money. And then they set a minimum, and Scott and me and several of the team waffled back and forth. He was like, do I charge extra? Do we make money? Do we not? And Scott settled on BGG makes no extra money.
Right. So, I mean, but that was with less than a week to plan, less than a week to promote, and it was still extremely successful and extremely busy the entire time. So I can only imagine that in future years there could be more thought out, more well advertised, better systems than just like the weird one-off stuff we did. The only time I was in the Hot Games room was before it opened when I was helping punch games. Like, that was literally the only time I spent there.
I never made it there. I'm so mad because one of my big issues was I didn't actually get to demo almost any game. Like, I demoed a few games at the Renegade booth, and that was it because somebody had made an appointment and I kind of tagged along with them. But walking up to booths to try and get demos is almost impossible.
So that's why the Hot Games room was great, because all of that was available in the Hot Games room.
I just wish I had thought about that, because it was my first Con. It was like
almost every game that was on the BGG Geek Buzz was in the Hot Games room in multiple copies.
Yeah.
So there were games like Fast and Scythe and Cry Havoc. And Captain Sonar and Covert were almost always being played.
Yeah, I wanted to get Last Friday to the table because I failed at demoing it or picking it up from Aries Games, which really bums me out. But I never found the time to make it to the Hot Games room. And I feel like had I made it there, I'm not sure I would have wanted to spend the time in line. So if it's done differently, maybe next year.
Well, but I think this proved the concept, right? Like,
absolutely,
they had that cancellation, they had the space, and then they were just completely slammed the whole time. So
that's a nice demand. Absolutely.
Jameson on the Trail Gamer. So Jameson, real quick before Jameson leaves, Jameson brought me, because he knows that I love Scotch and whiskey, brought me a single malt whiskey from Maine. and 50 Stone, and I had some of it last night, and it was absolutely delicious. So I just want to say thank you so much.
I am the jealous, but that's okay.
It was very light. There's not like a lot of heat to it or anything, but it was really good.
Oof. I'm more of a bourbon girl than Scotch. I don't like the peat, so.
Actually, I like it all. I just love
my other half loves it all. I'm just like, no, thank you. I'm a gin girl now. So.
Oh my gosh! Oh, we got Nicole hooked on gin martinis. It's amazing.
Good. Yes.
It's basically all your fault.
Yeah. Was that Wednesday night's fault?
No, I mean I've been drinking martinis.
No. It was like me and Michael Plummer, like.
Oh, we had gin martinis at
Nikki Blaine's.
Yes.
It was very good. I had a really great dirty martini there. It was amazing. They also did a really bang on dark and stormy, which I liked. But
they did.
I just have never I thought I never liked gin because the only way I'd ever tried it was gin and tonic. I just don't like tonic, so I love gin. So
I don't know if I can trust you, Nicole, but
I like a gin and tonic, but I don't put nice gin into a gin and tonic. It's like a bourbon and soda.
Right.
Like
when I make
dilute it anyway.
When I make a mixed drink with gin, I'll use like whatever tankery I have. But like
we've devolved into just rocks. No games.
But I picked up a really beautiful gin when I was in Australia. I got it duty free, and it is from the Yarra Valley, which is where they primarily produce wine in Victoria. And it has some Australian botanicals in it, like lemon myrtle and pepperberry, and it's so good. Like I will drink it just like on the rocks. Like I don't even need to make it into a drink. So I've become a gin person. Like I'm super into gin. I love it.
There's good booze you can drink just on the rocks with a twist or so. So I'm gonna ask, since we have still 24 viewers, gonna ask what topics you guys could send us your topics to us on Twitter or Facebook. At Meeples included. That would be great because we actually might be able to meet next week. We will be sans Maggie possibly, but we're sans Suzanne tonight. So because she couldn't end up making it because her internet where she is like not great. So we might do it again next Friday. But we need show topics. We need you to send us your show topics, or just say them now in the chat, and I will pay attention. So
if I can make it, I will. But I might have an outdoor movie to catch. So you guys, you sprung this on me today, and I think I already have a thing. But I would much rather hang out with you girls than most people in the world. So
Craig is like my Scotch buddy, apparently. I think that we totally agree on all of those things.
I like Oban. Like, Oban is my Scotch. Like, that's my go-to.
Based on what he's mentioning in the chat, it sounds like you and Adam would have some in common. But he's, like, really gotten into, like, some bourbon as well. Like, we came back from New York in April with a bottle of Eagle Rare the size of our dog.
Oh my gosh, I love Eagle Rare. Oh, it's so good.
So Adam really loves that. It's like he's like that. That's what kind of got him into trying new bourbon and trying out some whiskey and stuff. So, but yeah, like it's the most comically oversized bottle of booze I've ever seen.
So, when you drink Blanton's, which is by far my favorite bourbon, you get a collectible little horsey.
Aww.
And then you can collect little horsies from the top of the bottle.
So I actually have 2 of those.
Oh, do you? I have a few of them. Maybe
I have
more
2,
than 2.
and then I maybe one time wore them as earrings, but that was after many drinks. Many drinks
were had.
Etiquette of taking photos at game table. Joe, that is a great thing. So I am often documenting my gaming experience. We'll have people pose for photos, etc. Possibly obnoxious. I'll ask if it's okay before I do it. I will warn if someone is like explaining the rules and I'm on my phone, I will explain that I'm doing blah blah blah, but I promise I'm paying attention, and I will not. Yeah. If later, whenever I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, like I will accept you weren't paying attention, whatever. So yeah, so taking photos at the game table, I feel like it's okay. I feel like if you're going to post it on social media, you need to make sure that if you're putting faces and stuff in it, that everybody is okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I've found it to be this weird thing, like if I'm gaming with new people, they will not be used to not being included in the photo. Like I will just take a photo of our game state, maybe
and they're like, get us in there.
Well, they're more like they'll be shielding their face or something. I'm like, no, it's really just the board.
That's usually what I'm taking the photo of is the board, and then like my player board or my tableau.
People are so like worried about it, and I'm like, well, I could include you if you like, but I was just planning on just showing the game.
So usually I want to take photos. I want to take photos at Game Goblins because I want to show people. So that's the important thing. Like, I don't want to take just a photo of the game if I'm doing it for Game Goblins. Those of you that don't know, I do marketing and board game procurement and stuff for my friendly local game store. So I want people in those shots. So I will say, I'm going to put this on Facebook. Is that okay? And if they're like, no, then I won't. If everyone else says yes, then I'll take a shot that has everyone else except that person in it.
That's good.
So.
Or I'll kind of in the chat right now because
I'll be like, this is for Facebook, and if nobody's like, oh, don't put me in there, then I'm like, well, okay.
I'm gonna put Fiona in every single picture from BGG-Con this year.
Yes. It's so funny. Like usually, if I'm playing with people I don't really know, if I'm gonna include them in the picture, I'll ask. But if I'm playing at home and it's my friends that I'm just gonna be tagging, they don't really mind. And I remember back, there was a game of, I feel like Terra Mystica, that we were like a 4-player game, and we were so like amazed by how it looked that a bunch of us got up on the chairs around our gaming table to take like top-down photos of the board state at the end of the game. And my other half was sitting on the couch. He's like, you guys are insane. Took a picture of us doing that and posted it to social media. So, yeah.
I mean, my friends are fair game. Like, if you're my friend, like, you're in my social media at this point.
Yeah, at a convention or something like that, I generally, like, I will make it clear that I'm taking a picture of the board game.
Is someone playing Pokemon Go? Maggie.
Mags. Someone happened to mention that they were over at Pokestop, and I'm like, my house is over at Pokestop, so I'm just gonna grab some
Mags. Oh my gosh!
The latest updates to the game have meant that I can't.
We're not pogoing. Okay.
So when I'm playing with people that I'm not necessarily like friends with, I will make it clear that, like, and I'll physically make it clear, like, I'm shooting the game, I want to share the game on social media. Usually I will take a picture and I'll share it once the game is done. Like, unless it's a game where there's, like, downtime between rounds, where I have plenty of time to, like, post something to Instagram. But, yeah, usually it's like I want to show the game off. That's what will catch people's attention on social media.
That one wasn't me.
And they'll be interested.
I'm not driving. Thank you for asking. I'm a passenger, though.
Are you going so fast right now?
I know. Well, I think so. I am. So.
But last night, if you've already planned your turn, there's no problem picking up your phone.
Yeah, like if there's nothing you can do during like the downtime between turns, like go for it. Like I don't care. But like last night I went to a work drinks. I took some games with me as I am wont to do, and we ended up having 2 games of Anomia going at once. And I snapped pictures that made it like obvious that people were like playing it at a pub.
Yeah, but I didn't see any of your code. Yeah.
No, it wasn't people. It was like hands and drinks and the game, and it gave a good impression, I think, of like Anomia at the pub, so I like taking pictures like that. And I snapped a pic of Imagine tonight, which is this like, they have these like clear cards that look super cool when it's all laid out, and so I was like, well, why would I, like, they're so neat, look at them, like, why would I not take a picture of that all laid out on the table instead of people like looking at the game like,
I'm putting Gidget up. I'm putting her up. for the last 5
All right.
minutes. I'm sorry. Hashtag free Gidget, but I'm putting her up.
Hashtag free Gidget.
Gidget, ma'am.
But so just to like wrap up for my Gen Con thing, it was my first one. I was completely overwhelmed. I didn't do all the things I wanted to do. I didn't sleep enough. I did so many things wrong, but I also had a great time. Like, it was super good. In retrospect, there are things I could have done differently, obviously, like slept better, ate better. I did eat pretty good.
When you talk about the food trucks are amazing.
The food trucks ended up being really good for me. I'm vegan, and
there's so many vegan and vegetarian options. Like,
it was great, and they had them.
Almost every
labeled.
truck has. Yeah.
It was really good. So I just didn't have to worry about food, which was super good. It was like a weight off my shoulders. What I do need to focus on if I'm going to go to Gen Con next year is taking care of my mental health and managing my social anxiety better. I ended up not taking my meds on time, which was a big mistake. It turns out that really matters. And
we had a little bit of an emotional time in the middle of the streets. That's fine.
So if you're on meds like I am, then make sure you're taking your meds regularly. And Uplift Andrew on Twitter posted a really good blog on BGG today about how he deals with social anxiety at a con that big. And for me, I was like, oh, I've been to San Diego Comic-Con before. Like, I'll totally be fine. It's not going to be that many people. It was a completely different experience. Like, so different.
I got to meet Uplift Andrew, and he and I have very, very similar opinions on how to deal with social anxiety. Because I don't think I'm not actually medicated for it. I chose not to do that because it messes with your brain sometimes. But when you have a place to be and a time to be and a thing to do, it makes some of that overwhelming sense of crazy people stuff less important. So like I demoed for Saturday because that gave me a thing to do and like a place to be. Andrew, that was kind of his deal. I actually got to meet him because he was randomly at the Haba booth when my Haba appointment came up.
Nice.
He made my appointment late, which was great. I'm like dancing around, like waiting for Leah to get ready, like to show me stuff for work.
Aww.
And it was because he was seeing stuff for his kids, which is like fantastic.
Nice.
But I got to meet Andrew. That was a really good moment for me.
Aww. But yeah, I really liked his perspective, and I think, like he said, having a focus was really good for his social anxiety, and I feel like the moments of the con where I had something planned, like, yes, I'll meet you for lunch at this time, or I have a ticket for this event at this time, that made it easier for me.
So, the stream...
Oh, we're going to go to YouTube?
Yeah, the stream... Well, okay, but the thing is, though, we're almost done, right? We have just a couple more minutes, but I will post the link.
Oh, somebody's posted it.
Watch. Oh, did they post it?
Yeah. Everybody's on it.
Yeah. Okay. They on it. They so good.
Okay.
So sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is. I saw that we dropped like 100 frames. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I really appreciated Andrew's like perspective, I guess, on that, and I feel like, yeah, I went into Gen Con knowing you can't do everything, but I still felt overwhelmed and disappointed. So next time, I feel like I'm going to be able to focus better, make sure that I make time for friends, like book in time. Like, we missed out on doing Games on the Rocks because we just like, let's schedule a time for it. So I need to make sure that happens. And,
right, and everything else that I had a scheduled time for, like, I did. So.
Yeah. So
I literally wouldn't have traded Wednesday for anything else. I actually am glad 100%. That was not for the internet.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes I need things that aren't for the internet.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I just want to see my friends.
I figured maybe we would just like happen to be like, oh, we've got time, let's just do it, but that's not how Gen Con works.
Right,
So
right.
it's good to know that now, and I have a couple of more low-key cons in between now and next Gen Con. Like BGG Con is way less like intense for me, like people-wise and emotional-wise.
For me, BGG Con is actually more scattered, like in a weird way, because because everyone feels like it's so much more personal and so much more downtime that they want hours of your time, not just a few minutes of your time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope to see you all more this BGG Con than last.
Yeah, and I already have people saying like, let's take the time to play games together.
Yeah, I already asked because I wanted to know like what time I had to work with. For the BGG team, now that I'm doing stuff with them, I'm not employed by Board Game Geek PS. I literally I'm not paid, but yet.
I'm just saying.
I would love to. It would be fantastic. But I am doing stuff for them at conventions, so I already asked what would be the what do I need to do? And they have such a huge Team Geek at BGG Con that I don't think that they really, and we're not allowed to live stream there, except we can Periscope. So I am going to Periscope the hall. If anyone's watching that can't make it to BGG Con, I'm going to Periscope the hall, the hot games room there, the open gaming area. I'll Periscope some stuff there. So,
yes, I will just attach myself to you.
But other than that, right? And you guys could be with me when I do that. That doesn't matter, right? Because you can't. There's not as many, interviews to do because they've already kind of been done at Origins of Gen Con and Essence Spiel.
Yeah.
Because BGG is huge at Essence Spiel. So there's really not a whole lot to do. So.
And BGG Con is more about sitting around and playing games and seeing people.
And that's what I'm gonna be doing.
And that's my vacation. That's like my time off. So
So someone in the chat has just mentioned that they have a BGG Con registration and they think they might transfer it. I honestly think just go. I'm gonna try and organize a tweet up for this year's BGG Con. So if you're active on Board Games Twitter, keep an eye out for that.
What chat are you seeing right now?
Andrew, you should totally go.
YouTube
if you went.
Andrew, which chat is this?
Andrew
Smith. It's the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Here, I can paste it to us.
Okay.
So, and like Nicholas mentioned, like there's a lot of pickup games. You can join scheduled games, sign up for stuff. I think there's a lot of opportunity to just jump into games there. And honestly, if you haven't met people already, but you know them on the internet, BGG Con is a super great place to meet those people and play games with them.
Andrew Smith. So if you're still watching, Andrew, here's the deal. BGG Con is by far, hands down, the most magical, amazing experience I've had in gaming.
Yeah.
It is where I have had the most real and meaningful interactions with people compared to other cons. It is where I've had the most games I will play at any given con. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for something that's a little less about what did you buy and a little bit more about what did you do, BGG Con will provide that for you.
Yeah.
If you're having trouble with rooms and stuff like that, it can be kind of a bear, but you can usually find someone to crash with.
The first BGG Cons that we did, we roomed really far away, and they were fine. Now, I will say staying in the Hyatt is ideal.
Yeah, totally.
But totally fine, and I loved every second of BGG when we had to drive granted, we drove there because I'm in Arkansas, so it's 5-6 hours away. But even taking an Uber or a cab or whatever, I think would be fine. But it was totally fine for me.
It was literally my first con. I've got social anxiety. I don't really talk to strangers well. I don't know how much you guys know about me, but I don't talk to strangers. And I did okay. I had games. I had fun. I had interactions with people that did not turn me into a melting puddle in the corner. I've had really, really amazing interactions, and I can't recommend that con enough. So if you have a badge and you don't have a room, you can probably get that sorted. That can probably happen.
If you don't have a badge and you want one, I'm going to be posting very soon 2 tickets to the BGG Con up for auction. It will benefit the Extra Life charity organization, which goes to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So I asked, just in case anyone's wondering, so the price of the tickets is $110. However, I did ask and make sure that it is okay if the price goes above that. These tickets were donated to me from Board Game Geek, so I did not pay for them. I'm not making any profit off of them. So if they sell for like whatever amount, like all that money literally is going directly to Extra Life. And in fact, you'll make that direct donation to Extra Life. No money will even exchange into my hands. So
that's amazing.
So I'm going to be doing that soon. So if you're interested and you want, I will be putting up 2 tickets for auction. I'll probably put them up for about a week, and I'll make announcements everywhere I can. If you want to go and bid on them.
But yeah, I really have enjoyed BGG Con. I've only been
the best. It is my favorite. And I'm not just saying that because
I'm looking for
with BGG, but it's seriously the best.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It is just like it's just a fair amount of people and yeah, like it is just super good. Like I go to a con every April. It's a 10-day con. There's probably about 400 people that go. That's great. But BGG Con is like a sweet spot because there's loads of people, but not too many people. There's a great game library. Like that game library is out of this world.
I want to hang out with Joe. Joe, I want to hang out with you.
Aww.
You should go.
And they have the hot games. They have the exhibitor hall. Like it's all of the good things about what a game convention should be to me.
Right, and it's
where
not,
you can not
you
feel like you're
stuff.
missing out on stuff. Like Gen Con, yeah, I missed out on stuff, and that's just how Gen Con is.
Yeah.
BGG Con, I don't feel like I missed out on things at BGG Con.
Yeah.
I saw people. I went for a good meal. I had drinks. I stayed up late. I had fun. I played party games. It was ridiculous. I played strategy games.
If you're vegetarian, you need someone with a car to get you to a grocery store. The food sucks for vegetarians.
But
I will say that.
If you have a fridge and like there's like it's pretty decent if you have a fridge and you can just like stash food. And
BGG is like what I use my vacation time on. Like I literally that's what I use my vacation time on every year because it's important.
So yeah, this is like a 20 thumbs up from Games on the Rocks for BGG Con, I think.
Speaking of thumbs up, my drink is almost up. It's almost empty.
No, yeah, mine's done.
So I think yours is done. So I think that's probably pretty much it. This was great. Yeah, it is a sign. Gidget wants to be freed. She wants to be let back in the room. Actually, once I exit the room, she won't care about this room whatsoever. But yeah, so that is Games on the Rocks. If you were joining us for the first time, we do this every Friday-ish. We'll announce whenever we do it on Twitter and or Facebook that week whenever we do it. I think that we're planning one next Friday. If all goes well, we'll be doing that. We will have 3/4 definitely, but maybe also Maggie.
Maybe me if my plans don't come
to Maggie, who has switched to the red wine, by the way.
No, it's been red the whole time.
Oh, it's been red the whole time. Yeah.
Oh, has it? Yeah.
I've been white.
You've been white. That's right. Yeah, so join us next Friday. I'll play some music for us to close out. We don't have the fancy closer screen because we're on YouTube, but I'm going to do it for people on Twitch anyway because broadcasting is fun for me, I think. So with that being said, Maggie, any last words? And then we'll move to Nicole, last words, and then I'll close out.
I would say in my last words, BGGCon is the shit, and I love it. And
Mama didn't say shit. I'm just kidding.
She totally did. But
if
you have a badge in a hotel room already, there is zero reason not to unless there is financial other things. But BGGCon is absolutely worth the time and money.
Totally. Nicole.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I also want to make my last words. Please send us your topic ideas. We're all friends. We love to talk about stuff. That's like obviously no problem. We'll talk about whatever. But we want to hear what you want to hear about. We have spoken offline about just how fantastic it makes us feel that you all are here for this, and how important it is for us to interact with you while we're doing this. So we want to hear what you want to hear us ramble on about, basically.
And my number one thing, tell a friend. So we need to make board games a thing. Extra Life just sent out an email saying 25% of us are board gamers now. So we're taking over Extra Life, which used to be primarily a video game charity thing. Now we need to take over Twitch, right? We need to take over Twitch and take over YouTube. So tell a friend, and then let's get like a Twitch partnership or something going on. So
yeah. We can do it.
That's my thing. Make sure you heart us down below here if you're on Twitch, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. Do both. Do both.
Oh, listen.
Do both or else.
Yeah, or else.
Well, we know where you live.
What did Peter do? You will go to the next Gen Con.
Or else.
Yeah, and with that, I'm going to play some music. So.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. I have to turn the music back up because I turned it down. It's just us drinking now. Plus music. And they can hear that. I'm going to play that jazz.
Yeah, dude.
I can still taste like this. What's up?